we are back for another day of live streaming. So, just to redo the intro. So for the last, 16 days now, I've been live streaming. I'm kind of in between projects right now, so I've just been inviting people to do super chats if they want to vote on what I'm going to work on next. And otherwise, I'm going to continue with the work I left off on yesterday. So yesterday I was working on getting the menu working for the block mining simulation game. So we'll just clone the repo. So today, I'm going to try and make it so that you can select, after you select a menu option, you can actually go into, it'll actually execute what it's supposed to do. Okay. So if I just run the latest thing, Bradley is first. Congratulations. I have a hard job pronouncing that name. Alhaf, his son, says hi. How's it going? Do we need a boat to get you to your new society, or should we build roads? I guess we can. We could start off with a boat, I guess. Or we need to build a port first. I would love to learn a computer coding language. My friend knew. I think it was called QBasics or something. Yeah, QBasic was a language quite a while ago. It was one of the early DOS based basic family of languages. I vote for hover bikes. That's a good vote. I just noticed that the UI is broken. Why is it broken? That's weird. It's on an arrow. That was strange. Interesting. So I haven't seen that exact bug before. So this is what I worked on yesterday, just getting this few menu options to show up here, and then making it so I can select the menu options. But if I try to press enter, they don't do anything. So the next step, I guess, will be to make them actually do something. First step will be maybe I'll just implement the quit game first. That's the easiest one. Do you want to make robots with me for glass blowing and world domination? Robots. That does seem pretty fun. Does sound pretty fun, but I got my hands full at the moment. Got other block mining simulation games to make. And another option would be helicopters or hovercraft. It could be, but helicopters have a limited range. That Axel Heiberg Island is pretty far away. I think you could take a helicopter on a boat. That's I think a pretty common way of exploring those remote regions. He can make a computer game from just writing code. Yep, that's the idea. What if you use nuclear helicopters? I don't know if there is such a thing. Whoops. I need to get a better mic boom so I'm not hitting it all the time. Okay. Let's open this because it's slow. So we wanted to help. Gonna have to rename these action enums because they don't really apply anymore. Would be our currency? Could it be Bitcoin? I don't think so. Maybe gold? That's a pretty tried and true one. What about Monero? I'm not into crypto. Get into crypto, bro. Make a killing. I got into crypto 10 years ago, and it all got hacked and stolen. Now let's see if this works. Oh yeah, I forgot. We should make your block mining simulator mine crypto coins. That's been suggested, but I'm not a huge fan of all this crypto nonsense. See, I think this will let me detect the enter key. Can't remember if this will send a new line or carriage return, but we'll see. Or both. I think it might even depend on the terminal. Kevin Coolin says, "What's up? How's it going? Just working on the block mining simulation game. I'm going to try and get it so that you can actually instruct the menu options to do things. Let's see what this does. escape. Let's press enter. Nope. Don't work. Nope, don't work. Robert, would you ever move to India to teach Indians CS? If so, why? I probably won't do that anytime soon. Maybe if I became rich, became a billionaire, then I could hire people to go to India and teach CS. Or better yet, I can get my new island going, my new island country, and then I can have unlimited immigration but only if you can write your own compiler. That would be one of the visa applications. If you can write your own operating system or compiler, you get like free entry into my country. Cool guy says, "Good luck, bro." Thank you. Thank you for the $5 to Ben K. Let me think. My thing is not working. user interaction config. All right, there's no hard-coded stuff. Oh, 0A. Man, how did I forget what an enter is? I'm forgetting how to program. 0A. I'll have to make some improvements to that, how that user interaction config system works. All right, let's run this and see what happens. I've started streaming a bit later, right? Yeah, I guess I've always, every night I'm like, as soon as the sun goes down, I tell myself I'll start streaming, and then the sun's about to set. I'm like, all right, I'll get started, and then I just end up procrastinating or taking longer to get the stream set up. It's also the days are getting longer too. As I try to start when it's a bit darker out, so that way my awesome looking lighting setup is set up. Nope, still don't work. Zero D, is that what it's giving me? Do you also have a change the clock 1 hour for summertime? Is that now? I thought that was in March or something. Yeah, we do have daylight savings time here. It's problematic. I think they were talking about getting rid of it. There we go. That worked. I guess I'll probably have to make that more portable, because I think enter does not always give you a carriage return. All right, so I can select menu options. All right, now we just need to implement 2 more menu options. What is your favorite type of berry? I would say raspberries, probably. Raspberries are pretty awesome. Blackberries are also pretty awesome too. I had some of those the other day. So I guess what I have to do now so now I'm going to try to make this, I guess, will also be a bit of work. I want to make it kind of generic so that I can send this thread a message to like open a frame, a generic type of frame, and then it'll just do that. Did you vote for the Canadian elections? Yes, I did. Although in the overall election, I guess our country likes the Liberal government so much, we voted for them again. So now we get them again for a few more years. Fun times. So what I'm thinking about now is this has to be eventually this won't be just like a hard-coded variable just floating around. I'll have to have some data structure. Did you vote for the Liberals? I did not. I voted for the Conservative. Now, that's not to say that they're, I think they're like absolutely going to fix everything. In my opinion, there are way too many people who think like if we all just vote for one specific party, then everything will be great, because they're really all terrible. It was kind of a strange election. The Conservative guy, the Conservatives actually won like new seats. Actually, the Conservatives won in this riding. They were not expecting to. And then he actually, the leader, lost his own riding, which was kind of like amazing. The Conservatives did have like a 20-point lead, and then they just like immediately lost it. And then the leader of the party lost his own seat, and it's just, the whole thing's just bizarre. We need more trains. That's I think that's accurate. We do need more trains. Trains are basically the most efficient way of carrying cargo over land. Do you have more confidence in the currently chosen Liberal Party in comparison to the previous one? I have no confidence in anything. I don't even know what's going on. Like everything in the news, everything is fake. Everything's a triple level psyop. Everything is disinformation. Everything is four-dimensional chess, and it's incompetence at the same time. We got new trade tariffs every day. We got new wars starting every single day. That's why I'm just I'm gonna start my own society where we don't have any of this nonsense. Fair enough. Only worry about things you have control over. Yeah. I guess it's also I mean, sometimes people say that, and it's also that just like an excuse to be passive about things. But I mean, if there's if there's some big, it kind of feels like there's something bigger going on in the world of geopolitics right now that the public's not aware of, and I don't know what that is, but I don't have enough reason. That's why I'm raising funds for world domination. That $5, it'll be well spent toward my campaign to resolve all these geopolitical issues. Once I figure out how to what kind of data structure I want to use to like store these. the news outlets in America are pretty bad. But is it the same for Canada? So in Canada we have I don't know, because everyone gets their news from different places. Like the government funded news is fairly left leaning. But having said that, there's still like the top level coverage I think is pretty like biased to the Liberal Party, but that's why the Conservatives are all like defund the CBC. And having said that though, like having a like when I did my video about immigration, I actually did use I cited a lot of news articles from CBC, because like when you get down to the details, there are some people there who are like reporting on good stuff. But I find it like a big issue is that stuff gets reported on, but it gets buried. So it's like they cover it to say they've covered it, but then the stuff that's that actually gets like watched and viewed the most, like they cover the important issues, but don't emphasize them, I guess. And I think probably more conservative-leaning people get most of their news through not the mainstream media. And I guess if you're getting your news elsewhere, the question is where you're looking. If you're on Twitter or... Because that's another thing. I often check like what is the other news side showing, just to make sure I'm not in a filter bubble. But a lot of times they're showing like completely radically different things. Like when I check different sources now, it seems like they're getting further and further disconnected from each other. It'd be really funny if you somehow became Canadian Prime Minister. Yeah, when I was a kid, I always used to say that. I was like, I'm going to be the Prime Minister someday. I don't know. It's probably not in the cards. Although I could follow in the footsteps of, what's his name, J-Rig, who ran for, I think it was mayor of Ottawa. I hope Canada and the U.S. unify into one country. Are you in Canada or the U.S.? You're American, but then that'll mean that the U.S. will, it'll become extremely liberal because everyone in Canada is liberal. I think even the our Conservative Party is liberal compared to the U.S. I think lots of things about political attitudes in Canada are contingent on it being its own country. When we're together, attitudes will change. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. I mean, if it does, it's that's bigger than I am. I don't know. I think the U.S. is trying to shake things up here a bit to like get us to focus on our national security and stuff a bit more. And I guess maybe if we don't do that, then maybe they will step in and do something. Any more menu bugs to fix tonight? I think I fixed the main one. Now I'm just working on getting it to actually do the menu thing. So I need to create a message type. So I'm going to send things to this thread, messages to this thread, and tell it to add the menu. Binary meshes, I don't want those. Brother, you need a Mac to develop properly? I've never owned a Mac before. How is a Mac better for development? It's not. Their terminal is just like Linux and things work. Mac is smooth. Yeah, but it's not free software though. It's that smelly, stinky proprietary software. What are we coding today? Today we're coding, we're doing work on the terminal-based block mining simulation game, and I'm going to be adding a feature. I'm going to actually add support to the help menu so that you can open a new frame. Yeah, specifically the help menu frame. A terminal Minecraft. Yeah, basically. By the way, I wanted to ask some suggestion. I'm web dev. I can land small contracts under 1K from freelance platforms, but I'm having a problem getting large contracts. With your experience, if you have any suggestions. Basically, my suggestion was I pursued that for 10 years and it didn't work out for me. And I'm not sure how many of my videos you've watched, but have you watched the how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video or any of the consulting ones? Yeah, most of my knowledge is in those. The broke loser one, that one got 1 million views. But I'd say for like contracting, the business insights and stuff, there's a bit more nuggets of wisdom, I think, in if you go to my channel, maybe I should make a playlist actually of consulting. Those ones only have like less than 10,000 views, and in those ones I have basically I don't really have anything. I don't have any good insights there. Just like lots of my own presentation of my experience of my struggles and why I'm no longer pursuing that, just because it's so difficult to find good high quality work. It's really easy to find low quality work where you just waste your time, and honestly, with the economy getting worse, I would almost imagine some of that might be worse now. Like it might be harder to find contracts, but I would imagine there's less of the like irrational exuberance of like crazy projects, like people trying to pursue venture capital funded startup models with no venture capital. Those are the really big time wasters. Solve bigger problems, find what problems big companies have, and email them with the solution, with the problem they have, not a nice to have, an actual pain-solving problem. I've been a developer for 10 years and have always wanted to build my own SaaS platform, but haven't done so yet. So my thoughts are on building like the SaaS platform. In my opinion, that kind of business, the limiting reagent for that business is sales and marketing. So unless you have like a big network or you already have customers lined up, the hard part is not building the SaaS software. It's generating sales. And the standard way to do that is you raise venture capital and you have some kind of, you invest a lot of time and effort into growing the business. And then the software could almost be an afterthought. And I think that's becoming more true over time. On the first part of that, it's solving bigger problems. Think about problems and email them. For the most part, you'll probably just get ignored. To have any hope of success at that, you'd have to think more about like the kind of the different segments of companies. So the needs of like a small startup, struggling startup, is going to be different from, say, a large, like a Google or something. Like I have a business, and I have a struggling business. I'm barely surviving. I've almost basically no money. I'm on the brink of survival, and I get probably like 10 emails a day from like random companies, from like I guess freelancers, or I think a lot of them are actually kind of just like people buy data from data brokers, and then if you're on the data broker list, you get spammed with like consulting services and stuff. And there's like 4 or 5 of these like businesses that they're basically, you could maybe call them like a slightly more successful version of what I do, of what I was doing with my consulting, and they're basically trying to sell me contract software development services. But I almost never get leads. I actually do, technically I do get a couple here and there, but they're like I can tell from reading them, they're not going to work. If I were to pursue it, the person proposing the project would be like, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention I have no money to pay you. Sales and marketing has always been my issue. Yeah, I think that's historically, I think that was kind of like a small insight, but I think more and more it's becoming more and more true. And now one of the things I keep repeating is that like you have to figure out the sales and marketing first before you even think about building software. And with all the AI stuff now too, like the ability to depending on what you're building, if it's just like a thin wrapper for something, these AI models basically put like a ton of small startups out of business, because so many people are dumb. They start like a business, and they base the business off of like Facebook's API, or they use like a third-party API and then build their entire business model in that. And then the company that hosts the API will change their terms of service or just like replace the product entirely, and then they're out of business. I've been at it for 4 years now. I'm trying to build SaaS 2, just have complete and roll over to another project. But this time I'm serious in one doing that right now itself. It couldn't be like a good learning experience, but I think if you're doing it as if you plan to make money at it, I think the hardest thing is going to be like figuring out the sales pipeline. Depending on what it is, like if it's something that anyone can do, if it's some like note-taking app for $9.99 a month or something, that's going to be really hard. If you have access to like a proprietary data set or something, like if you have connections to like, I don't know, if your parents or something happen to have their own company with like geomatic, some kind of LiDAR scans of a particular region of Earth or something like that, and you're selling the SaaS service to like, farmers or something, and it's just like it's something that no one else has the data, but you have the data somehow, then maybe you could make that work, because you could if you can get like 3 customers that pay you, $1,000 a month or something. But do you check those emails though? What if some company sent you a solution to a problem you have? Not really. The thing is, I get so many of them that are low quality. They basically have made me like completely tune out to all of them. And I do sometimes get emails from like, the first thing I look at when I see the email is like, is this an individual who typed this email, or is it basically like some person who just emailed, some person who loaded like a massive mailing list and then sent out like 1,000 emails at once in this generic way. And they're also using AI to do like custom emails now. They'll be like, oh, hey, Robert, I watched your video on this topic. The video was about this thing. And they'll try to make it seem like they actually like watched the content or something. Which, by the way, I think is that if you are going to do custom, outreach, I think that like do whatever you can to see like an actual human who's typing the email. But there's a lot of these still end up being pretty generic, and most of them they're not problems that I have. YouTube has been excellent for me. I made several videos. I got sales that way. That's actually kind of why. It's basically why I'm here right now. The fact that I go live and then there's 21 concurrent viewers and the videos get views every day and they make money. And it just seems to make sense to be here. There's a guy on LinkedIn, built several profiles on LinkedIn, uses that to promote his BDP product. That's the way to go. I know some people do have success on LinkedIn. It didn't work for me, but I've kind of just been pivoting more into general content creation. I do have a platform where I can get actual users easily. They can become paying users, I guess. That's the key thing. If you can do that, then you're golden. Yellow Popcorn says hi. It's really shitty here. It sounds so cringe. Do I have to read through that? Like going through AI fake reviews of people that watch your stuff. I pretty much, a lot of them just go into spam automatically, so I don't really read them as much anymore. A lot of them, actually a tip is, I look at the domain, and if it says like solutionsforyou.info, or if the URL sounds like some kind of catchy SaaS service name, then I'm like, okay, instantly do not look at that. But if it's like if someone sends an outreach from like todd123@gmail.com, then I'm like, okay, that's probably like a person is sending me an email. Great name for a title, by the way. Thank you. So what am I looking at right now? Right now you're looking at the code for my terminal-based block mining game. And right now I'm getting distracted by talking to chat. So it's using all the CPU cycles for my coding. Wouldn't it be great to code all day and get someone else to sell it for us? That would be kind of the dream. I mean, it'd be great if the software just sold itself, because that we wouldn't have to pay the salespeople. Actually, I'm planning to hire some sales guys. I become negative from positive recently due to health crisis. That was horrible. Yeah, that's there's so many things weighing us down in life. We are salesmen purely on commission. And they're terrible at it. So do you have Top G? Do you have paying customers at this point in I think you said you're doing a SaaS product. ChatGPT is a product that sells itself. Yet they had massive marketing going for a long time. I'm making yogurt Nobody can stop me now. Oh man, that's I was gonna try and stop you, but now that I know you're making yogurt, I'm just gonna give up. I don't have SaaS yet, still building it, but I've experience of getting users since I've built SaaS for my clients who have paying users. But how did they get those initial paying users? If your clients were like big enough, they probably had marketing and brand and stuff like that. But if you're starting a brand from scratch, and you, I guess it all depends on like what kind of web or social media properties and how much traffic they get. Because a very, very common thing is, for developers, is you go in a cave and you build stuff for a couple of years, and then you like, all right, announcing this thing, and then you announce it, and then you expect people to come running to you, and they don't. Do that try with paid ads on Facebook and other places? How did it go? So I have spent several $1,000s on Facebook ads before, and my impression is that an ad budget of several $1,000s on Facebook is way too low. I think there's actually something there, but I don't use it anymore because, yeah. So what you have to think about is, so you're competing in a shared marketplace for the ad space. So you have to think about if you, let's say hypothetically you get several thousands too though. Yeah. So let's work backwards. So let's say that you want to sell T-shirts and you're selling them for whatever, and if you make whatever price point you get, you make a sale, and now you've got let's say you make a profit of $20 on the T-shirt. So let's say you set up an ad, and the first ad you set up is most likely it's not going to be profitable. So you'll have to like try out lots of different audience segmentation, like demographics. Almost certainly, especially if you don't have a warm audience, and like an email list or some like data from data brokers, or ideally like an email list that's collected from people who like actually like your stuff and are consented to see stuff from you. So you have this great marketing campaign, you launch it, to know, and so let's say you just start up a new ad account on Facebook. Facebook doesn't know, you don't have any reputation on your brand, so in the auction system for ads, you're going to pay more than someone who's already got proof, social proof, or like demonstrated proof that people click on your ads and you're not a bot and you're not scamming things, you're not doing political influence and all that stuff. So your first few ad impressions are going to be very expensive. And as the algorithm learns who actually likes your stuff, it'll get cheaper. Now to converge, to get like a statistically significant sample, and know like what is the profit, what is the average profit per T-shirt or whatever, you've got to make to get a 95% confidence interval or whatever, you've got to get like about 30 samples. So you're getting about 30 sales. So if you're getting say $20 in profit from that, then you can multiply your your whatever your profit or your revenue or like some kind of order of magnitude, because it's going to be different for your audience and all kinds of different stuff. Multiply those numbers together, so 30 samples, and you're getting $20. That would be on the order of like say $600. And so to even break even, which is actually, you're going to be lucky to break even on your first ad, because more than likely you're just going to end up losing money. You're going to have to like lose money on the campaign, and you're going to have to tune all the variables until you get it profitable. Then once it's profitable, then you can scale up the ad budget, and you can go to like hundreds of thousands of dollars per day, and you can just print money. But until you get to that point, you're basically losing money experimenting. You like to see, can you profitably sell this product on the platform? And like, you also have to let the ad converge. So you're in for, to do one experiment, you're looking at, say, like to throw out some reasonable specific numbers, you're looking at, say, like $600 to run an ad campaign and to somewhat confidently say, yes, I can demonstrate with a 95% confidence interval, I can make money selling this product. And so those are like, I'm just throwing out some specific numbers. The actual number might be like $1,000, but you're also like, you're competing with other people. So you might think, oh, I have a unique product. I'm only competing with people doing a SaaS product, but the ads are seen by everyone. And what it's going to converge down to is like the return on ad spend per view, per impression. So it doesn't matter if it's t-shirts or whatever. Like when you go on Facebook can show you one of 5,000 different product categories, but what it optimizes to is whatever's most profitable. So when you're dealing with that order of magnitude, so to conduct, the cost of conducting one experiment is going to be on the order of $600. So how many experiments can you do with that? You can maybe try 5 times, and then you're out of gas. And I found like, I ran some ads a few times, and I'd get like a couple sales at first, and then I would think like, okay, maybe there's something here, and I'd start like spending more money on it, and then the sales wouldn't come back. And so that was my experience, is that it's just I think to get any and I also didn't really have a warm audience, so I was trying to collect some data and build a mailing list and stuff, but I always just didn't have enough data, and the ad targeting wasn't good enough. So if I had like, say, 10,000 emails, I probably would have been able to profitably make more stuff. Actually, from YouTube, I have a lot more views and stuff on YouTube, so I could probably make a little bit more money. I probably could convert people a bit better now, but at this point, it doesn't make sense. I'll just keep doing YouTube stuff. You can do a marketing campaign with your email list on Facebook ads. That's really that's one of the that's called like a custom audience. So what you do is, as long as you have to have consent from your audience, but if you have a mailing list and you have the emails, you can upload it to Facebook, and Facebook will match. So that'll create your custom audience, and you can do what's called creating a lookalike audience, which is basically, I think it's like they use like probably AI to say like, okay, of this custom audience, whatever it's like, could be based on emails, could be based on some certain event, and then it'll use like AI to build a lookalike audience that's within like, so it'll take like, every member of, say, the U.S. population, and it'll say who is within like 1 or 2% of this specific audience demographic for this specific custom audience. And that can be very effective, because you're getting other people who are similar to, like, for example, if you have a list of 1,000 engineers and say who are the people who are like 1%, within 1% close to that, they're probably going to be other engineers. And like that was kind of state of the art, probably like almost 7 or 8 years ago now. That's like old news. And if you're not doing that, then like if you're just going on like a completely cold audience, you're almost certainly going to lose money for a very long time until you build up enough data about like actual purchase intent. So you basically start off with your marketing. If you have no data, you just start like, okay, who are the people who look at the website, advertise to them, spend a massive amount of, spend $10,000, lose a bunch of money, but you can get conversion data. And then once you have actual conversion data of paid customers, then you can build a tighter custom audience around who is the type of person that actually pays the money. And because that's the ultimate thing you want to filter for. And it's just a continual process of refining that feedback loop. How about this campaign? Effortlessly exercise world domination for this one weird trick. That's a pretty good campaign, I think. I would click on that. How many ad creatives did you try? I tried a lot. and some of it can also be like, and like if you're in this, like it's doing like marketing is it's one of those things you could spend a ton of time on. Like you could be constantly reading up on like what are the new like platform types and stuff. Like Instagram might come out with a new like I don't know, carousel reels or some just new view of something, like something on mobile or and sometimes there can be a certain ad format and like just other advertisers don't know about it. So then if you tune your settings so that like it only shows on mobile or something, that might be convert like way better. And this all requires that you be constantly up to date on like trends and stuff and different there's all kinds of tricks and stuff. And I mean I think sometimes there's even bugs in the platform that will cause your ads to perform abnormally bad or good, and like that bug might exist for 30 days or something, and you have to like take advantage of it for a while and then it goes away. And so it's really like a full-time job to be constantly doing this stuff. But I guess I didn't answer your question. I probably tried, I don't know, at least like maybe 30 or 50 or something, but I didn't, because I didn't have a lot of money. I would run them at like really small budgets. So that's another thing, is if you run the ads on small budgets, the ads will they just never will converge, because I think that the performance data has to be fresh. And I think that if you, like, as the world is changing, when like audience behavior changes throughout the week, throughout the summers, like the behaviors of an audience is different in the summer months compared to the winter, because people are on people have different real world schedules. And I think the algorithms place a much higher weighting on ad campaigns with much higher budgets, because they can get that fresh data really, really quick. And so that's why I think for like small retail, if you're spending small budgets, it's so many things to keep in mind with paid marketing. That's one of the things where I was like, okay, this is I don't have the budget for this, but I do think there's something there. I mean, obviously there is, otherwise Facebook wouldn't make so much money. It's funny, I got 100 customers that bought my SaaS. Some didn't pay. I could retarget them. Yeah, I mean, like that's one of those things that's for legally speaking, you should you have to get their permission and comply with GDPR and all the kinds of privacy stuff. And of course, that's part of that gets you into like the sleazy marketing stuff that everyone hates, where you're like using people's data, and that's what the Cambridge Analytica scandal was all about and stuff. I would say that the vast majority of the general public kind of doesn't care. They'll just click like, okay, sure, accept all cookies, advertise to me, I don't care. But then if someone really wants to opt out of it, then you shouldn't advertise them anyway, because they're like, if you keep them in your data set, you're advertising to people who are similar to people who don't want the advertising. So yeah, it is kind of fascinating. It's a whole world of stuff. I mean, it'd be interesting to have actually, I think if there's a subreddit, I think it's r/ppc pay-per-click, I think, where you can, like, if you want to get up to date on the latest lingo, because they'll have discussions there about like, okay, what's working for you guys, and they'll say like, Google AdWords is really working right now, and then for a while they'll be like, hey, has anyone else's like TikTok campaigns, has their performance cratered in the last month? And they'll be like, oh yeah, they pushed some update and it totally broke targeting for this and stuff, and it's just like constantly changing. So you got to be on top of it all the time. It literally would be a full-time job. I would buy product placement of random terminal mining blocks. The block explodes with my logo. Yeah, that's that's one option. I could, well, technically I do have, I have credits. I guess I can't launch it right now, but yeah, I have a. Yeah, I have dedications in the blocks. So in the future, there's tons of potential advertising I can do within the block mining game. So you're building a game or a program for users. I'm calling it a game. It's basically well, let's see if I can build it here. Open frame, work item. Okay, I think this will build. So it's a very simple game that runs in the terminal, where you run around and you spam the M key to mine blocks. Let's see, I got a bug here. Why is it not compiling? Open frame 52. Fixing bugs is a full-time job itself. Yeah, I mean that's why there's so few like actual independent businesses and entrepreneurs, like the all the marketing stuff. You could spend a lifetime. You could be like, as much as there's 10x engineers, I think there's 10x marketers, or maybe even like more than that. Because I think if you get a 10x engineer, that can add a lot of value to your business. But if you get a 10x marketer, I think that would even add more to your business, because the marketer is going to result in sales, and the sales bring you cash, which is basically everything. And I think it's pretty rare to find someone who could be like a really good programmer, but also like a skilled marketer at the same time. And even if you find someone who's good at both, they probably won't even have time to do everything. So yeah, this is the game. You wander around this infinite procedurally generated universe, spam the M key. I'd say the last so that's the only component to the game loop at the moment. I've been trying to add. I've been doing a whole bunch of bug fixes to the user interface. So those are still in the work. I haven't added any new features to it. I've just been making it more robust and fixing bugs for probably the last few months of work now. How does it feel to be famous? I'm not quite famous yet. I have a couple of videos that really popped off, but the future is kind of weird, because you can be very, I would say among probably people who the type of people who watch YouTube videos about terminal applications, I'm probably famous among that group of people. But outside that group, when I go to the grocery store, you can bet nobody recognizes me at the grocery store. Why do you program in a VM? I'm not in a VM right now. In a VM or in Vim? Does it mine random direction when you're close? So it actually, there's a defined direction. So it, I think, checks. I can't remember the ordering. I think it just goes like, yeah, clockwise around like that. And if you, so you press the C key to get a better pickaxe. And right now there's no way to select items, which is a deficit in the game. But once you have a pickaxe, which is also rendered off the screen because you can't even see it, which is a flaw, another flaw I need to fix, then you can mine out to a larger radius. And so that's the entire game loop. Speaking of product placement, there was a guy that made 1 million selling pixels on his homepage. Yeah, that was been the very early days of the internet. It's stuff like that makes me think like, maybe I could, if I can develop this project further, maybe there's other crazy monetization opportunities. Hey Robert, here from your video on how to make CPU. I tried, but the rocks won't slice like your video. It might be because you have the wrong type of knife. You need to get one of those fancy knives like I have in the video. It's a very special and very expensive type of knife. I've kind of been afraid to make videos share publicly. I've been a pro glassblower for 20 years. And I've been working toward robots for 10. I kind of want to combine it into a YouTube channel. I was kind of joking about you being famous. Figured that was the case. Your style is cool. Yeah, it's I mean, my how to make a CPU video has 11 million views, which is like that's a lot. So there's a lot of people that see my face, but I'm sure they've I mean that's actually that'd be an interesting question. How many of those 11 million people, if they saw me on the street, would recognize me? Probably a very low number. The thing is, everyone can get more views on stuff. So 11 million views is a lot, but also like during a day, everybody watches like 5,000 videos a day. Everyone is watching like 10 billion TikToks all the time, and there's no way that I've sat and just gone through my social media feed, and you could just see like thousands of people in a given day and not leave your house. So at some point it's not going to register. Everything's becoming more segmented. Like people can become way more famous in a specific domain and then completely unknown outside of that. Linus Tech Tips was saying that about how like he can probably walk into any like computer store, into like a Best Buy or whatever, and like immediately like everyone will recognize him and he's a celebrity. But then if he goes to like tennis tournaments in his neighborhood, like nobody has heard of him at all. It's interesting how that is, and that'll probably become more true over time. It's a lot hard to say. Your style is so strange. I think you've got a hook. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty inconsistent of my style of video, but I just kind of think about stuff. I think about stuff that I want to make and put it out there. Yeah, you were saying about I've been kind of afraid to make videos share publicly. Yeah, I think that's one of the I guess I've always known that people are kind of cautious about putting themselves out there, but I never quite realized like how strong that is. A lot of people they'll think about posting stuff, and then they'll post some stuff, and then they'll get like one mean comment or something, and then they'll just be like, nah, I don't want to do this, and then they'll delete everything. So that is something to be mindful of, is that like random weird people on the internet will like try to find ways to make fun of what you do or something. Some of it might even be like bots and stuff. Like there's all sorts of wild stuff on the internet. I mean, some of it can be kids. There's a lot of like mentally ill people on the internet. That's something that people don't, I think, acknowledge enough. I would say if you do, if you do plan to make videos, you could just start off with like some very matter of fact stuff. And now, if you like, there's kind of a trade-off where you have to be like a bit silly or interesting to get like lots and lots of views. And so the most successful model is you have some kind of like interesting, comedic, shocking view on things to like reach a wide audience and go, have to have the viral video. So if you have like a boring video on glass blowing, that's just like a tutorial or something, that probably won't get a lot of views, but you can figure out whatever kind of combination of those two things like works for you, where you do one video that's kind of silly, or one that's like like for content like that, I would think something about like maybe the hydraulic press channel. Like you're doing something that's totally impractical. Actually, glass blowing. You've probably seen there's like what is it, that Prince Rupert drop? That's like that famous, like weird form of. Actually, they shattered some of those on the hydraulic press channel. Yeah, like if you could, you could have like your videos that would do very well, which might not be good for your business, but would pull in lots of people, would be like kind of silly things like, could even do like a 15, 20 videos on like, I don't know, different colors of them, or like different shapes of them, or like, shattering them in different ways, or, just various kind of things. Although the Prince Rupert drop, that's probably been done to death because a lot of people have covered that, but maybe there's still, like if you search for that, I would imagine the top videos about the Prince Rupert drop probably have like millions and millions of views. And then your like videos that would actually get you conversions and customers would be like the kind of boring, dry, like 15-minute video on like, here's how the techniques for this and that. And then if you like this, then you can visit my shop and stuff like, and those videos would get like 10,000 views or something. But some of the views would come from like the first one that people would see would be the kind of the lead-in one that's, fantastic clickbait. It's all like hyper and stuff. But to start off with, you could just do like some kind of boring, super down-to-earth ones until you get the feel for it. Because sometimes people will try to be like super over the top and funny on their first video, and they'll assume that's a common mistake. I think see people make. People will assume that everyone on the internet has the same sense of humor that they do, and they'll make like a bunch of strange jokes, and then people are like, oh, this is cringe, and then people will make fun of them, and they're like, I'm embarrassed now, and then they'll delete everything. So you can actually go on like make a couple videos that are the videos you really want to make, and then see what is the demographic of the people who comment on it. I spend a lot of time like seeing like what type of person am I attracting? Like, are they business people? Are they university students? And then it's kind of a feedback process where I adjust the content to match what the audience is interested in, and just complete that feedback loop. Most people will never put themselves in a position to be ridiculed or insulted. That's why YouTubers are so special. Yeah, I think that actually is kind of like, in order to be the one in like you can do a mathematical you can ask mathematically, is it possible would it be possible for everyone to be like, an influencer with 100,000 subscribers? And that would have to imply that every person on the planet is watching, so for you to have 100,000 subscribers, everyone on the planet would have to also be watching 100,000 other people mathematically. That's how the network would work. And that's not possible because you don't have enough time to watch 100,000 people. So, but you can like kind of filter things down to the fact that like, okay, what makes the people who get to those levels, what's special about them? And I think the first filter is that like, just a lot of people don't even want to do that. They're like, I do not want lots of people to see my face on the internet. It's just, they're like, my face is ugly or something, or my voice is bad. I'm shy and I don't want to see that. And that would immediately cuts it down to like, that cuts that number down to like 10,000. And of course, there's a few other levels of filter that filter it down to like, one in whatever number is the actual real number. I think there's tens of thousands of people with like at least, or even, I don't even know what the number is now. There's a huge number of people that have 100,000 subscribers. It's not even rare now. There's a lot of stuff that is impractical and stupid, which will get a lot of attention. Yeah, I think there's many things that can go into figuring out what goes viral, but some of it is just like I think some people just think it has to be like shocking or but there's a more like kind of general form of like if you just Google search the word saliency and look up and learn about the definition of what is psychologically salient, I think that can inform you on like how to market things in general, but also specifically how to like figure out how to pitch a piece of content to get people to click on it. Like I think a lot of people would say like, oh, I wanted people to click on this. So they'd be like, oh, we'll just put an attractive woman on the thumbnail. That's one thing you could do. But other stuff that people probably wouldn't think about it as much is like an extremely ripe and delicious piece of fruit, like a handful of raspberries or something like that. People might see that, and then that triggers another part of the brain. They're like, oh wow, raspberries. That's really cool. Or just like money. If you just have a thumbnail of a person who's like in a really strange location, and they're pointing down to the ground, and there's just a pile of like money on the ground, and they're like, oh wow, look at this cool pile of money. That's like that's the kind of thing that you dream about. You're like walking in some random place and you just find a pile of money. Keep it going, Robert. XOXO. Thank you for the kind words. I'm kind of worried about those mentally ill, mean people. Maybe I'm not psychologically resilient enough. I've deleted Reddit comments because they got like 10 votes. Yeah, that's if you're the type of person that like you post stuff and then you get kind of embarrassed and delete it, then I could foresee you also being the kind of person who would post videos and delete them. Having said that, Reddit. So I used to like try to post myself on Reddit. Maybe as much as like I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 years ago. But Reddit is, in my view, extremely toxic, especially like in the last couple of years. Like I almost struggle now to even believe that a lot of the stuff on Reddit is real, which is another strange statement about our world. Like, I don't want to dismiss people who might actually be real people, but like some of the positions that people in the hostility and vitriol is pretty unreal. Like 90% bots. I would believe that, but then again, like there are a lot of crazy mentally ill people, and also a lot of people still read Reddit. So I think what's happening is, there's even like some of it is like mentally ill people go there and they don't realize it's bots, and then they get more mentally ill, and then they join the bots and start parroting stuff that bot talking points and stuff. So it's the internet is kind of a jungle. Having said that, I do kind of think like YouTube comments historically used to be pretty mean. I think that I do strongly believe that YouTube actually does kind of like YouTube knows there's a problem with small creators who get like super negative comments. Because when I first started, I actually got very few like negative or hostile comments early on, and I was actually kind of surprised. Like I almost kind of wondered if like maybe YouTube actually kind of fakes some of the comments early on, because some of them were like so positive that I was like, really? Like I had one of my older videos about like Raspberry Pi cameras. It was an okay video, and someone commented like, wow, this video is so amazing. I can't believe this video doesn't have 1 million views. You're so amazing. I was like, but you know, I was kind of skeptical about it, and I was like, oh wait, maybe I should keep making YouTube videos at the time. But I don't know, maybe it's a bot. But then again, YouTube is also extremely good at finding people who like things. So that could be a thing. But I would say that you know, when you're starting out, it's very unlikely that you'll get super crazy people, especially on something to do with glass blowing. I guess it also depends on it also depends on like yeah, it depends on like if you have something about you that's easy to make fun of, or and also if you're a man or a woman, that's probably also a component. If you're a man, you probably don't have to worry about stalkers as much. If you're a woman, you might have to worry a bit more about that. But lots of astroturfing on Reddit. Good point. I'm sure YouTube wants to keep new creators creating, so they maybe get pushed to positive people first, or fake it too. Yeah, it's I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth on wondering if some of the positive YouTube commenters are like just, you know, AI bots or something. But I do know in my own experience, I think it is like whenever I get recommended a small channel, I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand why they're recommending this to me. whatever happened to Stefan Molyneux? That name sounds familiar, but I can't remember from what context. One problem I have with YouTube is they keep pushing the same topics and creators to me. Very little variety. Yeah, it does. It does seem to get stuck in that state where it'll just push this exact same video to you over and over again. I guess it's within the algorithm, that's the optimal thing to do. Did you want to make $1 million at some point? Because I sure did and still haven't. Yeah, I mean, years ago, I remember saying, you know what, I'm gonna make $1 million before I'm 30, and then that still has not happened. And I'm closer to 40 than I am to 35 now, and I'm still I'm almost in worse financial shape now. What country will you conquer first? That's a good question. Probably Canada. I think it'd probably be the easiest one to take over. Canada must be nice. It depends what you mean. There's mean the territory or the people. I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian too. We can rule the world together. Join forces with me. Choose Luxembourg. It's a tax haven. I'll add it to the list. Congrats on completing half the dream. 30 years of age part. Yeah, time flies by. When do we enrich uranium? I think Canada has some uranium enrichment facilities. We'll just go there and make friends with the people there and ask them to do it for us. Right, that compiles. Thoughts on ChatGPT? It's impressive that large language models work. I haven't used ChatGPT that much myself. I have used it on a few occasions. The use case I found is if I want to try and draw some far-reaching association. So I don't know if you saw my if you see my daily posts of referencing some Unix command or something. Like I can say I can ask ChatGPT like give me a list of core utils commands that remind you of animals, and it'll actually answer that like the who command is related to owls, or the awk command. The awk command kind of sounds like the word hawk, and a few other ones that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, or like it's kind of amazing how it's good at like poetry and stuff, which is kind of like one of the last things we thought that computers would be good at. You've probably been over this. Why are you making this game? That's a good question. I decided, so historically I've always wanted to start my own business. So I decided to start with the software consulting business. And if you saw my how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, you know the history of that. All the details of my business and its lack of success are in that video. And so I decided, originally I thought that the original idea was to get enough cash flow to build my own product and then do like a real startup. But the cash flow from the consulting contract activity never came. And I always thought it was like more crazy to start my own product first. But now I actually kind of think it might be like starting your own product first might actually be a bit less crazy than what I was originally pursuing, which was the like trying to do the ad hoc consulting things and network and stuff like that. And the question about why a terminal-based game, a game is kind of like an open-ended thing, so I can program anything I want into it, and I can also I can incrementally add features, so I can get people to pay me money. So I could have I could try to raise $1,000 or something to add a new feature to the game, and if I can the capacity to do incremental improvements to it and then communicate those effectively and have set clear goals, I think it's much better for a game. And the question is, why a terminal game? I think if you have a really functional terminal game, you could turn a really elaborate terminal game into a graphical game quite easy. But most of my audience was built on like Linux command line stuff, and it's also a pretty unique category. There's not many terminal-based games out there. And then also the other advantages for a terminal-based game, you don't need. I don't have to spend a lot of time on like graphics programming and user interface stuff. Although ironically, that's exactly what I'm working on tonight. Are you working on a game? Yep, this is the game right here. Asking a GPT to explain documentation, then asking it questions about explanations is a good use case. better than a lot of courses out there. Yeah, it can be good for. It's surprisingly good at like summaries of stuff. Like if you just want to say like, "Hey ChatGPT, I'm researching this thing. Give me a list of pointers to look at it." So like that's kind of the ideal use case, which is that kind of thing is not done. Like just Googling that years ago would not yield as good of a response. I saw a report where they were able to extract training data at GPT at the highest rate. But they were able to extract training data. Interesting. But what does that mean though by the training data? Because I mean the training data is like everything on the internet. Like technically, anytime you get output, it's training data retransformed. He was given as input. Given his input. I guess I still don't quite understand the significance of that. Like technically, if you just ask it questions, you're getting some information about what it was trained on. What kind of game are you working on? Is it mining related? Yeah, let me launch it again. And even they weren't able to find the input ChatGPT gave on the internet. So does that mean it was training itself on input that people were putting into it? So it's like stealing information? That wouldn't surprise me if that's a thing. Yeah, so this is the game. You wander around, spam the M key to mine blocks. More so giving out info people gave it? How is it like giving so you mean like one person would say one thing like, "Hey ChatGPT, here's my phone number. Please don't share this with anyone. Give me the phone number with all digits added together." And then the second person would just like say like, "Hey, give me a random person's phone number," and then they would give output to a different person. Is that what you mean? Cool. I'm glad it's a product. Glad you're working toward a dream. Do you play games or just write them? I try not to play games because I have a habit of getting very addicted to playing games. The last game I played was Minecraft a few years ago. I played them a lot more growing up. Honestly, I would say I'm almost not even the game developer. Historically, most of my experience is in like operating system development and like custom servers and stuff, and embedded systems types of things. So I built some like high throughput server stuff. And I think that kind of lends itself well to a certain part of the game development. So I'd say that the part of the game that I'm not developing, which is the user interface, is the part that don't have expertise in. So it all meshes together. And then I think the hardest part is like the lower level stuff with the networking. So if I can get all that working and demonstrate it, I think it would be much easier to raise funding and stuff. And with like streaming, the fact that I could just like stream and chat and stuff, I can build a bit of revenue. Like I'm almost not even really selling anything, and I've got $6.97 in chat revenue. So it's not like it's not amazing, but it's enough to kind of pay a couple bills and just stay alive until I can build a product that's a bit more impressive, and then get more money from that. Kind of like 2D games. Try it out if you plan on releasing it. You can download it. It's on GitHub, but you have to respect the license. You have to have paid me at least $1 through using the list of available methods, and then you have a license to play it. Something like that, but whoever found out the loophole only asked ChatGPT to repeat the word poem infinitely. Interesting. Why no vibe coding? I've yet to attempt a vibe coding session myself. I have been working on getting used to. I forgot to even open it in this yet. I've been working on learning. I historically haven't used IDEs at all in years, but I've been using IntelliJ just to get used to it. And it has some kind of AI tool in it, but I've yet to actually test it. I should probably even read the terms of service, because it probably steals all your code and stuff. Oh, that's not what I want. Open. I've been looking at Spacetime DB for robotics. It was originally designed to develop for games, maybe. I've done too much web, but having ACID transactions makes developing difficult stuff so much easier. I think I'm not familiar with Spacetime DB. I'm a fan of relational databases and SQL and stuff. I think the NoSQL stuff was kind of the usefulness of it was kind of overblown. It was good for I never really used many NoSQL things, but it seemed good for like low fidelity prototyping. But what was it? MongoDB was the famous NoSQL database, and it had all sorts of I read a few blog posts about people saying that they had like massive problems with data corruption and like all kinds of strange issues. And it seems like anything that's not like a relational database without transactions and all that kind of stuff seems more it's not for like serious development or anything like corporate friendly. For LLMs, IntelliJ Johnny is pretty good. Argument is the best I've tried, and it has IntelliJ plugin. It's a context engine that makes very good at giving what you're asking for, faster than others. I'll probably people keep asking me about it, so I should really do it. I have other stuff I've been doing every day for the last little while. Today I worked on preparing some evidence for my eviction hearing. It's coming up on May 26th. But that's almost done, so we're gonna JetBrains AI Assistant. Free 7-day trial. So I guess you have to pay after that. NoSQL seems good for tracking objects instead of putting objects together with relational. Yeah, it seems to make sense if you just have a simple database and you want to optimize for throughput, and also you have a case where like data loss is not a huge deal. Like if you're building a super high throughput analytics platform, like something maybe like a backend from Google Analytics or something, you're just like vacuuming in and grabbing and storing a bunch of objects, and then you want to have like a batch process later that processes them or something. But in that way, it's kind of okay if you lose 1% of your objects every now and then. But for another type of database, like losing objects is completely unacceptable. JetBrains AI Assistant doesn't really compare to their Jenny plugin. Interesting. Have you hired a professional consultant for your evidence hearing? I'll provide some more details about all that stuff in the future. I didn't understand your dislike of SQL. I would say I dislike NoSQL as opposed to SQL. I think I'm much more of a fan of relational databases as opposed to NoSQL. But most of the NoSQL stuff seems to just and I have not used them. The disclaimer is I have not used them a lot because I've avoided them because of many of the things I've read about how they don't really seem like there's a whole category of software that like a lot of people say they love it, but it just doesn't scale. As soon as you want to start scaling it and like making it work in a production setting, then you realize it has bugs, and then when you dig into it, they're like, oh yeah, this is just basically for prototyping, and there's all kinds of workarounds and stuff. And MongoDB was one of the ones that I read a few times has just significant problems with data loss and stuff. And MongoDB needs like 7 servers to get started with. High availability. Yeah, I think MongoDB is backed by a company, if I remember correctly. So it's one of these. That's the other thing that kind of makes me suspicious of any like open source product that is backed by a venture capital funded company. I'm extremely suspicious of that model, because a very common thing is like you say, you go to some venture capitalists, say, give me, $1 million, and then they're like, what they use. We talked before about how marketing is one of the most difficult things of building a SaaS product. One of the ways you market a company like this is like you build an open source product, and then the open source project, the actually high quality piece of software, you just give it away for free, and then when people use it, that's your marketing. And now you build up a community and a customer base and stuff of people using your free product, but because your free product is a piece of crap and it has all these problems that you only experience it at production scale, people start using it and they're like, oh, this is easy. And then but then in production they have all these transaction failures and locks and problems and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is not working. But now they've built their whole platform on it, and so now they go to the company. Then now they buy the enterprise version, which comes with all these bells and whistles that fix and take away all the bugs and problems and restrictions that exist in the free version. And that can also be problematic because if the company's business model, like once they burn through their venture capital, if the business model is not proven by that point, then they may just totally can the project, and they may cancel all future updates and stuff. And now you have this kind of unsupported piece of software that was abandoned by some venture capital startup. I'm a big fan of SQL DBs. I'm actually building my robotics framework right now, backed by Postgres, using stored procedures for available messages and stuff. Need to go do it. Thanks for the chat. Yeah, Postgres is my database of choice at the moment. Actually, the block mining simulation game works with Postgres database. It's the single player version. Well, you can use either with SQLite, but also there's an option to use Postgres for better performance. Why use a database when you can use a file system data and store symlinks? That's one option, but it's not very efficient. Oh, nice. We got a new member to the student here. Welcome to Novelty Engine. I actually did do that when it came to smaller projects. Works nicely and is easily modified to data just with a normal editor. Yeah, actually, when I was at Amazon, that was one of the ways. I think they were actually migrating away from it at the time, but there was this kind of elaborate, so the way they did deployment versioning was just with updating a bunch of symlinks and stuff. Does your terminal game need a database? Yes, it does. You can use SQLite or Postgres. And you can also, if you want, you can even specify like a network connection to connect to another host. How many more days until you conquer Earth? I mean, it'll be pretty soon. Look how much money we're bringing in. I don't think it'll be. I don't know, a few more days, and I think we'll have enough to take over the world. What is a terminal game? So this. Let me see if I can just compile this. Once I compile this and run it, then I'll be able to show you. I think that will compile. Nope. 183 expected. Is that the right line? Help menu, frame thread state, console writer thread state. I've got, oh, there it is. There's my syntax error. So this is the terminal-based block mining simulation game. It's a game that you play in the Linux terminal. You just wander around, you spam the M key to mine blocks. And that's basically the entire game. You can if you collect some stones and stuff, you can press the C key to craft a better pickaxe, and that mines out a bit more, a bit further. But other than that, that is the entire game. You just mine blocks forever. And there's an infinite map of blocks that you can explore in 2 dimensions and also in 3 dimensions. So you can press the space key to go up, and the X key will go down. Will there be multiplayer? Yes, that is definitely a thing I want to add. Technically, there is kind of like a like the networking part of multiplayer already exists actually, and I already have it separated into a client-server architecture. So there is a standalone like server that exists, but I don't have. There's no like session or user management on it. So it's basically if you had 2 clients that connect, they will both be the same user. So you'd have two things that overwrite each other. And there's no kind of a transaction. There's no transaction conflict resolution. So like one player could just walk over top of another, and or they could like both mine the same block at once or something. Will there be enemy NPCs? Yes, that is once I have once the server is a little bit better developed, then I think that'll be yeah, I'm gonna work on these. I guess the roadmap would be fix these UI improvements, because I think the UI is what people see, so I think that's the most important thing to get working well. And then once the UI is working well, I'm gonna fix the thing with the player inventory, and then after that, I will probably work on like an actual releasable multiplayer. Which I'm not sure how long that'll take, but once there's like a releasable multiplayer, then a necessity for that is like right now there's also no concept of a game tick, which is also kind of necessary. There's actually a few. There may be some latency issues and stuff, because I think normal multiplayer for games and stuff uses UDP for speed, but mine is using just like TCP and WebSockets, so I don't know if it's I may have some design flaws that make the networking and the multiplayer problematic, but once I make it work, then I can make it fast. Be cool if you did player sessions based on an SSH public key. Yeah, I could. If I can get around to that point, then maybe I could invite some other people into the multiplayer game world. But it's I've got a bunch of other stuff to fix first. It's like a really advanced door game from a dial-up BBS. Interesting, a door game. I'm not familiar with that term. How is this different from using any game dev engines like Unity? I have never used Unity, and I don't know anything about it. I know it's like a go-to thing for the graphical part of games. I assume there probably is some like networking and stuff. I'm Robert, I'm late. What did I miss? I support your world domination plans. It would be a good place to live. Excellent. Now I just need to win a few more hearts and minds, and I'll be all set. Do you think a whale will almost stop by and super chat 12 billion? we can only hope. I mean, if I stream for long enough, it's bound to happen. Let me think. Try to super chat to 12 billion. Let's see if it'll go through. Yeah, that'd be nice if you could just do it as a fluke of the financial system. Just put it on a credit card. I mean, realistically, that's kind of an interesting thought experiment. If you go to a bank and you just ask the bank for a large loan of like $100 trillion to buy the world, and then if you could, like, technically it's a sound business plan, and if you could just take control of the world and buy everything, then you can just change all the rules to benefit you, to pay off the loan. In a way, that's what a lot of like big private equity firms do. Yeah, government does it all the time. Private equity does that literally all the time. They basically say, like, they go to a bank and say, like, yeah, we're like a too big to fail private equity thing, so we're going to we'll just borrow all this money to like buy out this entire company and then completely gut it. Like stories like Toys R Us. If you look into all the shenanigans they pulled with that. Context. I guess you're looking for context on what I'm working on, or I guess what we're talking about. So the context of what I'm working on is I'm working on building a terminal-based block mining simulation game, which I won't run into the moment, but this is what it looks like. So you wander around, you mine blocks, and the context for what I was just talking about was we were talking about private raising funds and private equity, and there's an interesting story about Toys R Us, how they basically like borrowed all this money. A private equity firm borrowed a bunch of money to basically buy Toys R Us, and then they set up all these like debt obligations that basically gutted and bankrupted it. And I think they did something where they Toys R Us used to own all the land, but they like sold the land and then went under a lease, so now they had like a debt obligation. And it was just this creative way to like basically I mean, in my opinion, a lot of what those private equity firms do is illegal, but because they're big and they have a lot of money, they get away with it. Technically legal, maybe. I don't know. So they're getting increasingly aggressive with their tactics. I'm sure it's going to keep growing until it gets out of control and the government steps in and says, oh, wait, actually, we're going to make it so you can't do this anymore. Card declined. Going to the bank tomorrow to ask to approve a $12 billion. Sorry for the inconvenience. That's all right. It's the thought that counts. I don't know if you're asking for enough though. You'll have to like the bank will only loan you the money if it's a sound business case. I think you better ask them for at least 100 trillion. Because if you get 100 trillion, then you can. That's enough money that you could just buy everything. You could buy countries and militaries, and then you can actually enforce your ability to extract money and pay back the loan. It's a whole new country we're forming. I mean, why stop at one? Why not just form multiple countries? $100 billion should be able to buy at least a few countries. Includes military, schools, food production. Yeah, I think you should be able to get some of that. For the return on investment would be insane. Yeah. And because you're a country, you can charge taxes. Think how much tax revenue you get. And if you actually cared for people and managed the economy so people didn't have to live in poverty, then they would make a whole bunch of money and you could tax that money. I mean, it's a great business opportunity. The bank would be crazy to refuse it. What are you coding for? I am coding for a terminal-based block mining simulation game. It's a game that is in the terminal. It looks like this. You wander around an infinite universe and mine blocks. Forgetting we'd be able to print our own money too. That's true, but you don't have to not print too much of it, otherwise it becomes worthless. Have to establish an illusion of trust to keep it valid. Yeah, I guess at that level, that you'd have to actually, develop some conspiracies and stuff make propaganda and stuff. Otherwise, everyone would get really angry at you. You have to have your own deep state and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work, but someone's got to do it. I'm an American, so it's in my blood. Well, you're qualified. You're qualified to run the deep state then, I guess. So does this mean countries are businesses? I guess. I mean, they're fundamentally there's like, if you have units of account for producing things and consuming things. So that might actually open a help menu. I'm back to ask, should I open source my robotic stuff? Frameworks, at least. Not sure what I want to share the robotics, but I was thinking of sharing frameworks for job apps and fun. Yeah, I would say I guess depends on what your ambitions are for the robotic stuff. So are you planning to make money with the robotics stuff? Yeah, like if it's actually some proprietary, like if you spend a lot of design and late nights tinkering something that you plan to like make money off of, like if it's kind of esoteric stuff, maybe not. I guess it all depends on no such colleagues. I make decent money as a glassblower. I could probably make good money with robotics. robots. Spent a decade on it. It, it depends. So there's the model for. I mean, this is a matter of opinion, but what I've chosen to do with my software is, if you click the link in the description, the code for this game is available on the internet, so anyone can clone it. But I made it a proprietary license where I just said you have to have paid me at least $1. So like you became a member, so you're legally allowed to play the game now, even though it's not a very good game. So it's just like one kind of like I'm putting it out there, like thousands of people have probably seen this. So that's the marketing, which is, in my view, one of the most difficult problems to solve starting out, especially with software. So having it public is the marketing thing. But I also think like you could put it on a permissive license like Apache or MIT or something like that. But I think you also have to be thinking, if you're an intelligent, shrewd business person, you've also got to be thinking about like, how are you going to make money on this eventually? So depending on what your goals are and where you can kind of capture value and like, be nice and kind and let people look at your stuff, give it away for free, like let your competitors steal stuff and like benefit from your ingenuity. But then you have to have some little kind of secret sauce where you can carve it out and say this is where I'm going to say no, this is proprietary and you have to pay me for this. And depending on who you can find customers for it, like you said, you're doing robotic stuff. I've done a bit of embedded myself. I don't know how advanced you are with robotic stuff, but there might be some kind of niche I don't know, like maybe in some probably like hobbyist communities, anything hobbyist communities, you probably want to do open source stuff. But then there's probably anything robotics. If you have some like, I don't know, you made some like a really nice application for tuning like a stepper motor driver for calibrating a stepper motor driver. Like it's got a few diagnostics that like, I don't know, measure the impulse response of something and lets you like test and optimize, or you can like test the resistance or impedance or whatever of a motor, and you wrote this like really great calibration software. That might be something where you kind of partition that off, and then you say this, if you want the stepper motor calibration measurement software, that's $500 for the business copy or whatever. And then all your other stuff is like, I think actually the term open core comes to model. I don't know if that's the right term to be using here, but I think it's where you have some landscape of stuff that's all out there to bring in people, and then the kind of smaller core thing where you can actually capture value, whoever your customer is. Because like if there's a company that actually wants, and if you work with, let's say like, I don't know what kind of robots you're working with, but if you're getting into like, into the more sophisticated, like the higher current motors for like actual industrial control and stuff, the amount of money that goes into, like, you can spend $100,000 on a motor driver for like an industrial motor because they're really huge. So the amount of calibration and like measurement and stuff that could go into that, you could easily say this software for testing and calibrating this thing is $10,000 because the machine itself costs like $300,000 or $400,000. But those would be like the fairly big robots that run on probably like 3-phase current and stuff, or three-phase electricity. But I don't know. It depends if you're doing like, if you're more on the hobbyist end or something, it might be more difficult to monetize. I made sure if you can't feasibly make money off it in the future, you should open source it. Yeah, you can question like, what are you getting from it? Stuff I've written is mostly designed to make 3D printers into robots, better real-time motion control, forcing sensing stuff. Yeah, I guess like you can ask, you know, in the realm of whatever you're writing, if someone was going to pay you money, who is that person? What is their life story? You know, what demographic are they? How much money do they have? Are they a business owner, or are they like a private individual who's doing like hobbyist stuff? And that'll tell you like how much, like if you extract as much money as you meaningfully could from the prospective person that's gonna, you know, buy this software, how much is that? Is it like $5, or is it, you know, $50,000 a year, or is it some other thing? Then you can start with that number and then work backwards on like what kind of product offering you have. If it's like more of like a hobbyist, like a more mass market thing, you could do something similar to what I have, where I mean, you can also combine the stuff. You could have a license that says, in order to use the software, you have to buy one of my glass products, and if your receipt for the glass product, that is, that's your license to legally use it. And then and you can just make it basically open source. So like if someone steals it and then uses it, like you know, it's like it's not going to be a big deal. But I think anyone who I think that's a decent model, because anyone who like really likes and appreciates it, it's almost like a, you know, encouraging someone to be nice and donate to you. It's like one of those licenses says like, if you found this software useful, you can give me a donation of however much you want. But you can be a bit more strong than that and say like, the software is available. I think in my license I say it's you can try it for 30 days. And then after the 30 days, you have to stop using it or pay me $1. I was kind of thinking of just sharing everything and using it to promote my class. I think I can make cool, interesting videos. Gaining 20 customers could literally change my life. I could, in order to play my game, my license requires that you have to acknowledge my world dominator status. Oh, sorry, I read those two comments together. Yeah, you said gaining 20 customers could literally change your life. So that must mean those would be recurring customers. So I would assume if you're just doing, like personally, I don't spend a lot of money on blowing glass, but if your customers are like other business owners, then I could see how that makes sense. Recurring 80% of my sales go to like 5 customers. Okay. Yeah, I guess if you're, you said it's for stuff I've written is to make 3D printers into robots. So the 3D printer stuff into robots, is that related to your glass stuff at all, or are these like kind of separate things? Because I guess, I don't know, maybe there's a way that 3D printing I could kind of see that related to glass blowing somehow. Yes, the robots for making glass. Okay. Yeah, that's an area I haven't looked into, but that seems like an esoteric. That seems like a fairly esoteric thing. And if it's like if the software helps, if it's just helping hobbyists, like good luck getting them to pay, $5. But if it's helping people make money and produce more stuff, then I think your chances for monetization are a lot more. And you could do I guess there's a question about like, I think it would make sense to like try and minimize the number of distinct business models you're creating. So if there's a way to like, I think like you said there, to make the robotic stuff a funnel to just get more people, get more of these regular customers. Because if you start selling like the software and stuff independently, now you have to like think about marketing the software and stuff. Like it'd be better if maybe the software stuff was just a marketing funnel. But then again, if you're using the software to automate that stuff, you could also put yourself in a business if the software is too good. I think roughly whatever the operational efficiency is, a percentage that profit could be charged as a service fee. That's like a tempting thought. But I think the problem is with like compensation models like that, for like any kind of small scale business, it's really difficult to, you'd have to like police that and stuff and be, people can like lie about their profits and, like people may not want a percentage of the profits, because then you have to like, what if your margins change and stuff? People would, you'd probably have better conversions for like just a simpler fixed pricing model. I was thinking of just using it to try and get a job. I don't think I'll make as much as I could as a programmer, even with robots. I guess if the glass blowing and robotics itself is not bringing in, enough to pay the bills, then it probably does make sense to just work on. I guess I wasn't sure. It kind of sounded like from what you were saying that the glass blowing actually does bring in enough to pay the bills in the past, or I don't know if maybe that's falling off, or. Pays the bills in the past. I've been falling off by putting all my time into robotics. Oh, okay. I guess it depends what you want to optimize for. If the previous thing that paid the bills is not what you're focusing on, and it's not growing, then you could switch back to just focusing on the glass blowing more. But I think. Yeah, I don't know. If the sales are falling off, you need to do more marketing and sales. But I think probably it's kind of a stretch, I think, for the robotics thing. It might make more sense just to like if you already have the robotics thing working, just use it to make money in your business, and then do some like, I don't know, experimenting with some social media marketing. Test the waters with some TikTok videos or something like that, and then see if that brings anything. I've heard TikTok apparently is extremely effective for local, like regional advertising. Apparently, like small food shops and stuff do very well on TikTok. makes Sarah. Man, I can't even read that. Serpins says, morning. How's it going? Taran Mail says hello. Mohammed Al Joshua says hi. How's it going? What are you working on? I'm working on a terminal-based block mining simulation game. So it's a game, looks like this. You play it in the terminal, and you wander around an infinite, procedurally generated universe, and you spam the M key to mine blocks. So I'm working on figuring out how to improve the UI a little bit. Anyone remember Google Plus? Yep. That was a while ago. I remember it being annoying. Yeah, they tried to integrate it into everything. They even integrated it into YouTube, I think. I'm trying to learn assembly right now. It's challenging. Yeah, assembly can be pretty difficult. It can be difficult to get started, but once you like the number of things to learn that exist to learn in a given assembly language is usually a lot less than other languages. There's not as many like standard library things and stuff, but it can be incomprehensible to start with. It automatically changed everyone's YouTube profile to their first and last name on Google. Mentioned the other day, you got some income out of these streams, even though they don't get a lot of viewers. Yes. So that right now we have 22 concurrent viewers. What I've noticed is I think I've streamed for I've done every Saturday for the last year or so, and then this recent period of kind of between projects. So I've just been just experimented because the stream I want to do some work. So I figured, why don't I just try streaming my work, and then I can actually do work, and I'm making progress. But if I get a few members and super chats and stuff at the same time, I'm kind of double dipping on producing two things at once. I found if you have some YouTube videos, I have videos in any given hour, I'm getting a couple thousand views on all my YouTube videos. And when you're on someone's channel, if they're live at that time when you're watching that video, it'll have a circle around it. So there's random people. So there's the regular viewers here, but I think YouTube's constantly throwing in new viewers, and you're popping up right in my feed in the mornings. So I click it. Yeah, it's YouTube kind of maintains it's always kind of introducing new people to the stream. And so I think if you have a lot of viewers who are tuning into your videos, then some percentage of those people will come into the streams, and streams are just way more I guess they're more personal. So the conversion rate on streams for stuff on different platforms, you can do a measurement of how much a given viewer or user or whatever is worth, and say on I don't know, to get an engaged Facebook follower or something, it might be worth $3 or something on average, or a LinkedIn user might be worth $11 or something. I think the average the average loyal stream viewer, it's worth way more than that, which makes sense, I guess, because if someone actually is that engaged, then you get regular super chats, and thanks to Bradley for the $1. Bradley proved my point, and he super chatted I think a couple of bucks yesterday as well. So if someone's very interested in the content, stream it, if you streamed the process of glass blowing, I'm sure I personally, I don't have any interest in that, but the type of person who would watch glass blowing, if they ask you a question, they say how do you do this? How do you do that? And you explain the process, and that's you could, through something like that, you could potentially get very, very strong sales from that, just because it's way more compelling. And I also think things are changing too, because we were talking about private equity before. The world is becoming more heartless and corporate, and people are looking for when people buy products, they want that kind of small town feel, where you go down to the local shop or whatever, and you go to the blacksmith, and the blacksmith makes you a horseshoe or whatever, and it's a horseshoe made with love, instead of the mass market Costco horseshoe with it's it's falling apart and it's made in China, and it's it's bad for the environment and stuff like that. So I think there is more. There's way more of an opportunity for generating sales, and kind of small scale environments like this that feel more authentic. They get closer to that, like, 1901 feeling of actually interacting with people. Now, if you start streaming, like I am now, and you don't have any videos, you probably won't. You'll probably have like 1 or 2 viewers, unless you can. To start off, you'll have like, a couple of viewers. If you make a few videos, and especially if I release a new video tomorrow, I'm pretty sure that because in the first 24 hours, that's where most of your views are. If I get a surge in views, the number of people who tune into the stream will be like way higher. So if you did something like that, you could do like a little tutorial video on here's how I do glass blowing or something like that. And once you have a few hundred subscribers or so, you could release a new video and then do a live stream where you show people your glass collection, or you do a glass blowing or something, and then from that, people will ask you questions, and you might get a few people, and you might only have like 6 viewers, but those 6 viewers are probably, it's like if you have a store and there's 6 people, six customers in the store. If they're in the store, they're there because they're very, very interested. Thank you for the $1, Bradley. Find you with the big video you had about the apartment and other things. Yeah, that one brought in quite a few new people. My biggest one is the how to make CPU one. Brendan Fraser says yes. I think that was in response to my comment about corporate stuff. How do you actually get started though? I went to streams, some of my studies, but I don't know where I start with my videos. I know there were some channels where during the pandemic people did like these study with me streams. I don't really think that's in my view that's not that interesting. So you probably wouldn't. You could question like what exactly do you want to get out of it? Because you might not. If you just stream yourself studying for a few hours, that's not super interesting. But if you have like, lots of videos about like studying techniques and stuff like that, I think it kind of social media, everything goes together. You gotta be producing shorts and videos and long form and everything. But it's a lot of work to make all that stuff. I'll have to get started on those Prince Rupert drops. Popping inside hydrogen-filled balloons or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I could think about you might like you're also very invested in the topic of like glass blowing and stuff, so the kind of quality videos that you would like to see are maybe like things where you're actually putting effort in, and like you're doing, it takes a long time to produce it, but the stuff that if you just want to go for like engagement right off the bat, like you get a lot of views, it's possibly even like the stupidest things that required like 0 effort. Like you could just like I'm just like, no, I'm not saying you do this, but like if you just made a video that says like, I got mad and smashed my glassware, and it's just the video of you like, smashing find some reason to like smash some of your glassware. People would probably click on that and see it because they're just like, what's going on? All right, actually, another you may have seen this. This was kind of viral for a while. There was a channel that was you may even just search for these, and it was like a glass. Just search for a glass bottle rolling downstairs, and I think there's a video. I think they had a bunch of them. They just put like they had like a glass bottle or something, and they would let it roll down the steps, and it would roll down the first one, it wouldn't break, the second one and third one, and then it would get to like one of the last ones, and it would smash, or sometimes it would get to the bottom and it wouldn't break, And I think those videos are very like psychologically attractive. People just want to know like what's going to happen. Like, you know, if you put in a hydraulic press, what's going to happen? It's going to break. It's going to shatter. So you could even and like some of that, like if you, there's a trade-off, because if you maximize for like engagement, you get into like brain rot territory where you're just doing those, like if you've seen those mindless TikTok videos, those like mental sludge videos where they're just like cutting a hole in something and patching it up with like ice cream, and then they paint over it, and it just doesn't make any sense. And that's not necessarily good for your business, because people, you know, people who are interested in your glassware are not gonna buy stuff because you made this. But there might be a sweet spot where like, I can imagine like a video title like, which glass is the strongest? And then it's a like very simple to produce video where you're like, all right, let's test these glass bottles. Or like, what's the strongest shaped bottle? That's an interesting question. And then in this video, we're going to find out. And you just try to smack the bottles or something like that, and then see which ones break. And it's like a 30-second short, and that would probably be easy to make. And something like that would probably do really well. And then you could segue into like, and you know, and here's why this bottle doesn't break, or it does break, or it's because, you know, this one was, you know, these bottles look identical, but this one breaks because it's the glass blowing was incorrect or something. Maybe even stream as you release a video. Yeah, I think as long as the views are coming in. Have you thought about making YouTube tutorials? I could do stuff like that, but I already have too many things in the go. I could melt a torch with a torch. You could. There's all kinds of. It's easy to brainstorm, but like, I could create this mental sludge and stuff. But then the worst part is like, I also see sometimes, like people. There's a few people who got big on TikTok doing like these like kind of mindless, like just strange. They had like a couple of videos. They just made like a silly clickbait thing, and it got like 1 million views. And then they got kind of addicted to it. And now, when I check their channel, they're like, every day they're making these kind of, they're trying to get back to that viral clickbait hit, but they can't quite get it anymore. And some of the videos are just like kind of embarrassing, and they get, you know, a few thousand views and stuff. So it is important to maintain your kind of North Star. Hydraulic press channel. Then you get low IQ viewers, which can't buy your stuff. Yeah. Or just neat, fancy, ornamental things. It's a pretty good area. Yeah, I think the best is you could just try, you know, test out different types of content. And I mean, it's also a lot of work to make videos. You have to go like, if you've never done it before, you need it takes a lot of time to edit stuff correctly. Ideally, you want to script stuff. So like, a 60-second video might take you like 4 hours to make, depending on how much work you want to put into it. And you got to like learn the video editing software, and sometimes open up YouTube without an account. It's impressive how brain body the default suggestions are. Yeah, it's because they have the maximum potential reach. They're to general audiences. Not worried about getting trapped in brain rot. Too much of a geek. I want to share what I'm interested in. Yeah, you could just think about just have some like hooks to the video that are brain rotty or something, where you could like, I don't know if you could think of something on that, something about just like, you know, which glass is easier to break, and it's just the thumbnail is like 2 pieces of glass. And then in the video, you test it out and then spend 30 minutes talking about why. I'm using a plugin called Unhook. It hides all of them. I do try to configure YouTube to never remember my history. However, I kind of need history for YouTube music. Funny, up here, I use Unhook as well. Interesting. Never heard of it. I feel like it messes with the live stream chat, though. Most tutorial videos get outdated pretty fast. I think it is movie, interesting programming, exploring higher level programming concepts than a step-by-step tutorials. A video about which glass tastes the best. That's a bizarre enough title that I might click on it because I'd want to know what they have to say. Speaking of G+, I should probably drop my last name from my YT name. Let's go with Robert's interpretation of surname. I wonder how quickly it reflects the name change. Robert's interpretation of the surname. I don't know. I don't know what I said before. I apologize if I butchered it. I can't read the chat. The chat window is really small, and I can't increase the size of it because then it'll increase the size of all the other ones. Thanks for the great content, man. Can't stay, man. Glad to catch you live. And say hi. Love the content. Thanks for the kind words. Hey, Robert, fellow disgruntled Ontario citizen. Just stumbled on your channel today. Wanted to say I'm looking forward to whatever comes next for you. Good luck. Thanks for the kind words. You got water under your phone screen. That's not good. All right, let's try to finish this up and then why do you use VI for Java along with IntelliJ? I thought IntelliJ has VI support in it. I did use the plugin. I found it was really annoying to use because when I'm using the IDE, I do a lot of like copying and pasting, and then the other thing is with Vim, I have the whole terminal, so I have just more screen real estate. I'd say because my screen is so small, because I'm streaming it, it's kind of like an awkward platform to develop on. It's not what I normally do, but yeah, I've been trying to. Normally, I just only code in Vim. I've been trying to switch myself over to actually learning IntelliJ, so. But it's been hard for me to actually stick to it, and it's like. I don't know. I've just been switching back and forth. Most of my coding I do in this, and then if I need to like actually use the introspection, I've been using this for a while, and also the debugging. And people have been telling me to use what is it? NeoVim, but I've looked it up. I have not gotten as far as actually trying it out. IntelliJ has a focus mode, gives you max real estate. Yeah, maybe I'll have to try that or look into it. I'm still just every stream I do, I'm getting a bit closer. It took me a few streams to figure out how to get the debugging working. There's all kinds of weird little issues to figure out about how to get the debugger to connect, and it was connecting to like a wrong process before. I had to figure out. I found that with Spring Boot it like forks the process, so I had to like add a special parameter to get it to connect right, and try Control Shift F12. Okay. It's better. It's not a. I still don't completely have the whole thing. How to make a CPU? I have a video on that. Why do you code in such a small window? Because I'm streaming. What does F24 key do on my keyboard? Press it and find out. Does that work? You can drag the editor off the window, make its own window. Yeah, maybe I can, let's see, Control Alt. Oh, what did I do? Oh, no, I did Control Alt. That's what I did wrong. No, preserve root. Well, let's see what it was. Control Shift. Control Shift F12, and then F11 maybe. Nope. Thought you were going to publish a cinematic short. So I started working on one, and then I realized, so my hearing's on the 26th. I have to submit evidence by the 19th. So that would mean as of today, there's eight more days before I have to get all the evidence done. So I was like, you know what, I should probably finish all the testimony and stuff I want to say, and then I'll work on the next short. So I wrote a script for it, and I will get back to it. Maybe tomorrow I'll start getting back onto it. Try to get off the JetBrains window. Okay, that's not too bad. But it's still, I also, I guess the way I've learned to code is also, I can't really rely on the navigation I use. I use up a lot, so so I'm usually working on like a couple files at once. So I'll just use like this to navigate instantly to where I want to be. And then often I'm copying stuff between files. So I might just copy a bunch of stuff here and then quit. And then I go into my other, this file. Oops, I go into, I can go in this file fast, and then I can put some code in here, and in my experience, it's just faster than using the IDE. At least make the taskbar on VM auto disappear. This thing here. Notepad++ is the best IDE. Oh, maybe that's what I want. I like Vim 2. Got caught in a hoop of trying to make it into my IDE. Respect for sticking to what works. Not getting sucked into rabbit holes. Yeah, I only use vanilla Vim. I learned early on that configuring plugins is a lost cause. They can break, and they're different on different machines. Move to JetBrains out of frustration. How do I make it auto hide on the side? Also, does anyone know? This is like basically I have a class, like a class object of type class. it's one of these things. I want to compare. I want to see, is it of type? So this is a help details frame thread state is a subclass of this, and there's got to be like, I want to just do this, but that doesn't work. Not sure if you need no tweaks. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. I remember doing something like basic and thinking like, how is this not possible? And I'm like, you have to install this extra package to get a setting. Gotta find symbol. Ask questions like I'm an expert, like I'm an expert. I'll type in into Perplexity, make it an answer. Dot is instance. Oh, okay, maybe that will work. That might work. Python has is instance, which checks for subclasses as well. Yeah, it's confusing. There's like 5,000 different ways to do this comparison, and there's also like a bunch of footguns too, where I've been trained to like not use equals comparison. I tried the instance of one. It's because it's that didn't work. I think this may work. Is instance. That is in instance of that. Why is it complaining? Can I cast it? Cannot cast. Why not? There you go. Now you don't have to look at it as much. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, that's. I mean, we were talking before about like people on the internet criticizing you for putting yourself out there, but it's actually it can be very, very useful when programming. People just give you all these like compounding improvements. Like, why are you doing this thing? Like, oh, I didn't know I could not do that thing. Now, if I could just figure out how to pass this is excellent. Customer service, adjusting taskbar to please the chat. Yeah, I was gonna not, but then I'm like, why not? It just gives it a little bit more screen real estate in this this tiny UI. So help details frames rich state isn't subclass of this. So why can't it cast? Why can't it pass that? I guess maybe we'll just make this a question mark. I don't know how to get that to work. I think this will work. Can't be converted. Have you considered asking the AI on the bar there? You can highlight code and ask it a question, I think. I'll try that. I'll look it up later. People keep asking me to use the AI stuff. I've never used AI for coding yet at all. I think I'm almost done here tonight, but I'll probably see if it's going to launch. I think that actually compiled. Yeah, I'll put it on my to-do list for tomorrow to actually test out one of these AI tools. People keep asking me to do it. I have a feeling it's not. Well, maybe for simple stuff like this, it'll be good. I'm kind of almost. It almost feels like I'm already. It feels like I'm kind of already almost using it, because in Google search results, they have a lot of that the top answers are always AI now. Okay, that runs. Now let me run this. What's the question mark? Is it like a disabling type checking? So I'm not 100% sure. I know you can do like you can do like generics with the angle brackets and then the letter T. That's for generic types. And I honestly don't completely understand the difference between like just doing the brackets with T and the brackets with a question mark. Code and run tests until fixed. Chat versus AI will be interesting battle. It's crazy with argument at least. I will often get 8 out of 10. Ask a question. I get about 30 lines of code. Change that matches my style. It does what I wanted. Ask a question and it writes code and runs test until fixed. Yeah, I'll let me test if this works. Nice. Oh, that's why. So I bet that's one. Like if I asked AI that, I don't think AI would get that. But I know exactly what the problem is, because I wrote it. Sorry, not trying to offend, but really curious. Why are you building this? I guess I've explained that a bunch in probably better words, but the TLDR is most of my existing audience is familiar with terminal-based applications, so there's an immediate appeal there. Unknown frame type. Okay, so I guess my comparison didn't work. I guess if you've been following my channel, you know that I tried to start a one-man software consulting business about 10 years ago, and the quality work just isn't there. Like if you want to make money in software development, your choices are like go work at a big tech company, Google or Facebook or whatever. I wanted to do my own thing as a small business, and I found that like looking for like independent contract work is just too unstable. And I kind of always thought doing your own independent, like building a product, is kind of crazy. But I actually think it's now less crazy than doing what I was doing before. and I can make a little bit of revenue doing this and streaming and making videos and stuff. So I have just to do more what makes money, and this activity is making money and building software. A game is something that I think I can raise money for repeatedly. If I say I'm going to add this new feature to the game, I'm trying to raise, $100,000. I can get more money to add more features to the game. So yeah, it's mostly just a practical thing to do with making revenue. What was I doing? So my comparison doesn't work. And I guess that makes sense because I guess since I changed that, maybe this will work. Got it. Thanks for answering. No worries. This is kind of a convoluted explanation, but I've also been programming for 4 hours now. I think I've done better justice explaining myself in past, when I've been asked that in the past. I have a video on. I have a video I think titled "Why Build a Terminal-Based Game." That also has more answers if you want to watch that. Okay, escape. Open help menu. Wow. Incredible. But why is it doing that? Is that got a UI bug in it? I guess I probably need to send something to tell it to refresh. That's a weird bug, but well, it's progress. All right, I think we'll call it a night. Thanks for everyone who stopped by. I'll probably be back tomorrow. Later.